It happened. The unthinkable. The shift that showed our frailty. Nonetheless, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness cannot overcome it. We are separated. We are isolated. And in this world, we have trouble. Nonetheless, we take heart because Jesus has overcome the world. We are conflicted and frustrated, weary too. But nonetheless, those who trust in the Lord will find new strength. We are down but not out, sidelined but still in the game. We fight for our families, we hold on to love, we strive for kindness, but the hard times get harder. Nonetheless, we are more than conquerors through Him who loves us. We walk through adversity. We are sons and daughters of the Most High. We know to whom we belong, and we know where our hope lies. For He is the first and the last, the Alpha and Omega, the one who is and the one who is to come. It looks bleak, they say it's grim, there's a lot to fear, but nonetheless, we are strong. We are courageous. We are the church.
very good evening to our viewers. Welcome once again to our episode talk show, Revival House Talk Show. And we're so grateful for you joining us. Our purpose of our show is to influence, to engage, and to educate. But the most important thing is to empower you, yes, you as an individual, to empower you personally and professionally. Right, before we start, I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the NHS workers, all the key front workers, for what they're doing in fighting this COVID pandemic. Just to let you know, you are not alone. We are all behind you. And for those who've lost loved ones, our thoughts are with you. Right, back to our show. Today's show is a continuation of where we left last week. However, in today's show, we're going to be moving forward, how to support our children to secure a future. I've got a very special guest in the studio with me. She's a high achiever, I would say, a very iconic individual. She's an author, an inspiration speaker, and also an educator. I've seen most of her resume. She's fantastic. She's done so much for the ethnic minority. And we're so much privileged to have her here with us. She's an author. I said she's an author. And also, I think her mission is to empower parents, to equip students, and to secure a future for our children. Yes, your children as well. And without further ado, I would like to welcome Donia Narh. Please, Donia.
Hi, Patricia. Thank you so much. And hi to everyone actually watching this broadcast today as well. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you, Donia.
Yes.
Right. Donia, would you like to tell us? I know I've just given a snapshot of who you are. Please, would you like to tell the viewers and everybody else who you are, what you do, and a bit of your achievements, please?
Okay. So my name is Donia Narh, as Patricia has actually said, and my I would first and foremost say that it's maybe a bit of a cliche, but I'm a daughter of God who just really feel like I've been sent on earth with a solution to help our community. My focus is really about helping families raise their children's achievement and to maximize their potential. That isn't just the children maximizing their potential, it's the parents maximizing their potential as well, because we are children's first teachers. So whatever
Yes, we
we
are.
do, they will actually do. So in terms of achievements, and I share the achievements just to actually for parents to know that their children can actually achieve their fullest potential. So in terms of academics, one of my students got the 5th highest marks in the country in
Right.
history. And in terms
Fantastic.
of academics again, my eldest son passed his exam to Eton College. My youngest son, he actually passed all the boys' school in the top 20 in
Oh,
the
wow.
UK. And we chose number 3 out of the 1, 2,
Oh,
and 3 because we lived, that was our closest school. An hour away,
right.
I must add, an hour and a bit. And, help children and help parents our real focus is raising leaders so that we have children at the decision-making table. So like
Yeah.
Patricia said, this is an extension of what last week, but we're focusing on what are the aspects of raising dynamic future leaders. So I've worked with the Royal Albert Hall, facilitators and students have met Prince Charles, Boris when he was mayor of London. We've worked with some of the best companies, KPMG, JP Morgan. I could go on and on, Patricia, but I feel I need to stop. Hand it back over to you.
Oh no! Wow, well, that's fantastic. I was reading your profile, and actually, I was, oh, you're amazing, and I think you're doing such a great work in impacting, making a difference to change everyone and anywhere. You're not choosing, because I was saying you've got Asians, you've got people from Ghana, you've got people from all over the world, and I think it's a very great work and commission to you. Well done,
Thank you
Donia.
so much. Thank
Right,
you.
I know you're a founder of a youth project, ACE. Would you
Yes.
like to please tell us just a little bit about the ACE Youth Project?
Okay, fab. So yeah, so AC's Youth Project was a project I set up. I think it was in about 2004. Started in 2001, but established proper in 2004. I set that up because in that at that time we had a chronic problem underachievement with Black children, and it was the pass rate for Black children getting 5 GCSEs or more was actually just 31%. Yes, 31%. So over
Wow.
69% of children were actually failing. The Mayor of London, Ken Livingstone at the time, Diane Abbott were really trying to find things. It was like a national dilemma, and they were finding things to try and help Black children. And I actually were able to develop this project, which eventually was sponsored by a church to go into every school in Brent and Barnet area in North London. And the aim again was to just help children who are underachieving to actually achieve their potential, to see what they could actually achieve. And so that project developed, and from actually going into schools, like literally going into all the North London schools and working with them to raise achievement. A lot of the children went on to get first class degrees, became leaders, working with governments, just being exceptional. And realized actually from working with that one child in that school, then the rest of the family weren't actually achieving. So I went on to set up the Amazing Parent Gems, which is my key focus at the moment, which is working directly with parents and helping them.
Oh, great stuff. And how many students do you work with on this project? Do you have any numbers? Oh,
we have worked, I mean, what our achievements through the ACES project has just been phenomenal. We've worked with every single London borough now, I would say.
right.
And yeah, thousands of children. So yeah, because we used to go, obviously we went into schools and work with the children, so that we would be working with, doing assemblies, working with individual groups. So thousands of children have been impacted over the years.
Right. In this current lockdown situation, how are you managing it? How is the project working?
Well, like I said, what with the project, it's not, my focus isn't really with the schools anymore. My focus
Right.
is with the parents. So my focus is Amazing Parent Gems. Yes, the project is there and children still benefit. I mean, at the end of last year, we took them to Zoom, believe it or not, before Zoom became
Wow.
the household name. And
Yeah.
they got with the people in senior positions got to understand how to get into top companies and so forth. So we still do that. The children still benefit from that. But what I do, I spend my on a weekly basis, I have a parent network, Amazing Parent Gems. And through that network, we actually help the parents. So what we want to do, or what we have been running, is a series on how to get ahead during the coronavirus, during this epidemic, during this pandemic, and thinking, how are you going to prepare your child to thrive? Yes, once this is done, because this too shall pass. And that is just our mission at the moment. Because if we focus on the parents, we don't just help that one child through ACEs, we help 4 children through Amazing Parent Gems who then benefit through ACEs.
Right. And that's bring me to my other question. I know you've got your 7 proven steps on how to support our children. Right. And I'm going to ask you the first to tell us which are the 7 steps. And then I'll go step by step asking you how we can achieve each step individually.
Okay, fabulous. Thanks, Patricia.
Right.
So in terms of the 7 steps, now these are steps that I've developed since 20 years, over 20 years in education, working with children in inner city schools, and also through the ACES project. And I realized that if these pillars, these foundations were actually followed, then the parents would be able to raise dynamic leader, a child who would just be happy to stand out from society. And I call it the ACEF model. So it is about and it's part of the book that I've actually written about 7 proven steps to help your child succeed, which is A is for achievement, C is for culture, E is for excellence, that is in education, enterprise, employment, and life. S is for service. The other S is for support network or just support generally. And Y is for youthfulness. And F is for being very future focused. Sounded like V, but it was a F. Future focused.
Wow, fantastic. Right. I'm going to start with the achievement. How can we support our children to achieve higher during this lockdown and beyond the lockdown?
Right. So, in terms of supporting children to actually achieve during lockdown and beyond, because that's quite key. Yeah? This is
Yeah.
just a period of time. It's not going to last forever. So we always
No.
should be future focused. When I speak to families, because I also do financial education as well, so you should have a plan, a 10-year plan at a minimum. Yep. And being able to have a 10-year plan, having a goal, where exactly you're going to be in 10 years, that will help to keep your child motivated and will help them to achieve from a practical level. One, in terms of if you want your child to achieve and become, like I said, a dynamic leader and not just a worker bee, we've come to this country to make sure the next generation is better. You have to have a system in place for achievement. So that would be goal setting, sitting down, having goals. What are going to be your child's goals? In fact, what are going to be your goals that you have as well? And including in that, I think planning and always planning ahead. Sometimes we have to be reflective as well. You have to sit down and think, what isn't working? What hasn't worked? Yeah. So then, and what, in terms of what is working, reward the children, encourage them, praise them. You got to be your child's first cheerleader. That's how you get
Of
achievement,
course.
not just saying, oh, you didn't do this, or setting new bars. It's like, you have done this, great, okay, so what else do you actually want to achieve? And I think in terms of achievement, it's all round. It has to be holistic, every part. It's not just about academics, it's every part of their lives. Putting systems in place to actually ensure that your child can achieve.
Oh, great stuff. And how would you motivate? Okay, so I know it's a holistic approach, but some of the kids or some of the children, they might thrive in one area, but then they are less motivated in another area. For instance, I would say maybe in academic, they're kind of thriving in that area. But when it comes to other factors like extra curriculum activities, they're not actually in it. Would you worry as a parent, or how would you support them to engage better in such
Okay.
activities?
Right. So, I mean, that's a great question, Patricia. I think really when you're thinking about all the different aspects of life, your spiritual life, yeah, your physical life, you're thinking about social, think about finance, thinking about academics. If you want your child to thrive, everybody has a gifting in something for sure, but it's also looking at all the different areas of life and sitting with the child and saying, okay, what do you want to achieve in that area? What do you like best? What's your best sport? What instrument would you like to play? I mean, every child should learn to play an instrument, for example, because instruments help to develop and music help to develop the mind. Yeah. And it can't be one dimensional. I
Yeah.
would ask the question, Patricia, is that child solely academic, or has that child just been channeled into academics and that is all they know? So therefore, that is where they will thrive. I think it's important for parents to,
Right.
give the child a opportunity to just broaden their horizons. And I'll explain why that's important, Patricia. When you go into the workplace, and even when you go into university, you can't compete on academics alone. Because if you're thinking, when your child goes to employment, they are competing with the rest of the world. It cannot just be academics. The interviewer, be it for university, so I've worked with Cambridge University in children there, some of our children have gone to Oxford University. They're looking for all-rounded children. What instruments do you play? What can you debate? Yeah. Can you do a blog? Have you got anything online? What's your expertise? So it never can be just academics. They won't excel at every single thing, but you've got to give them the opportunity to discover themselves through lots of different things.
Right. Great, Donia. Next question. How, I know this is one of your key thing and your emphasis, culture. Why is culture so much a key thing in your work?
Okay. Yeah. So culture is paramount. Yeah. Identity is paramount. And if identity wasn't paramount, then we wouldn't teach, countries wouldn't really emphasize history so much. Who you are as a child of God is really important. Your self-belief. I think identity, culture and identity are pivotal to your self-belief. So it's really important your children know who they are, what they believe in. And culture has so many different dimensions. When we're thinking about, there is a phrase that I always use, not mine, I got it from somewhere else. Self-esteem through culture lead to academic achievement and excellence in life. Yes. So if you're thinking about it, we are here in the UK. It's not certainly not my country. I wasn't born here. My children were born here. Now, for them, they are here. This is their country, but still, they may feel that they're not part of this culture or this country.
Culture.
If you have identity and self-belonging in Maslow law, is the basics that you need to have, right? So they need to feel like they belong to something. And from a practical perspective, I would think that now is the time to teach your children about the culture, for them to do some family history, to make a family tree, and find out who they are and build up their self-belief, build up what they believe about themselves, about being Kenyan, about being West Indian, about being African. And here is a key thing also, Patricia, is I always say this, there is always this debate that schools do not teach Black history enough, for example. The achievements that Black people invented, the gas masks, the traffic lights, all of these things. The schools do not teach this. But I would ask, why should the schools teach it, right? We, our parents, should be our children's first teachers, and now is the time that we can teach them these things. That the blood bank, the first blood bank, was developed by a Black person. If you're sitting there and thinking, okay, I don't know these things, that Emperor Septimus in 2010 ruled UK, 2010 AD, and he was the one of the first emperors of the UK, and he was half African, half Italian. If you do not know this, here is a project for you to set yourselves or your children. I guarantee you that they won't be distracted by youth culture and thinking that's Black culture. They will understand what it means to be from an African and Caribbean heritage, kings and queens, and so forth. And I could go on about that subject because I'm so passionate, and I could reel out all the Africans' empire, like Timbuktu was the first university in the world, one of the greatest. So I could go on, but I'm going to set that as a challenge to parents. Please go and find these things out to help to build your children's esteem, so they can stand up in Britain and be proud of who they are and be proud to contribute into Britain as well.
Right. My next question to you is, what is excellence, really? And I know you did touch a little bit of what the qualities of excellence should be, but breaking it down, how is excellence? What are the key characteristics of excellence?
Okay. I would say that excellence is being the very best that you can and maximizing your potential, and your children maximizing their potential. The Bible talks about Daniel, and it said that Daniel was was 10 times, and the Hebrew boys were 10 times better than their counterpart. And when your child is excellent at what they do, excellent in their thinking, they will stand out. Again, if I go back to the Bible says, do you see a man that excels at his work? He will not stand before mere men. He will stand before kings and queens. And that is what we want our children to do. We want to raise them up, be excellent in every single thing that they do, excellent, being the best that they can, maximizing their potential, standing out from the crowd. That is about being excellent. And excellence isn't just about striving, it is about being happy in the process as well, but feeling accomplished in something, be it grade 5 in music, be it top in their class, and be it, really great, chosen for dancing, whatever it is. But you should give your child that chance to excel in something, not just academics, but also in life as well, where they can just take on and sink their teeth into any challenges that's going, and have a very positive mental mindset and attitude. That is what excellence really is.
Oh, great stuff. Right. The other topic which you're actually passionate about is service. I know not everybody is it's not everybody's passion to service. What is your take, or why do you actually emphasize on this bit of service?
Okay, so service is key, and service is actually fundamental. Now, one of the reasons that service is fundamental is that like I said before, we all, and I'm touching on the Christian aspect of this because I know predominantly I'll be speaking to a Christian audience, is that Jesus himself taught us servant leadership, yeah, to serve others, to help others. Now, from a practical level, the reason why service is important and why a lot of young people struggle to get jobs and to reach top companies is this: if you do not serve, if they do not volunteer, if their parents frown on it, they just will not have enough experience. Yeah, so it is important that your child is volunteering to do something. It is important that they're involved in something of
Yeah.
giving back, be it in their church, be it online
Yeah.
now, be it they can actually say that they've helped a young child to with their maths or English or whatever. These are all things that, in fact, it's funny, giving back can actually help them, because if they are serving and if they're helping others, they can put that on their CV. And when they put that on their CV, they've got what I always say is glitter in your CV with jewels and diamonds and
Oh,
things like
yes.
that. So funnily enough, something that is frowned upon will give you a foot in a company if you go and volunteer with them for free. So it's actually about building up your child rather than breaking them down.
Yeah, and that's echoes. It's blessed is the hand that gives that than the one that receives. What are you giving out there instead of just me, myself, and I? What will I get? I think it's also to teach our children how to give and how this is relevant throughout the journey. Right. My second question: support network.
Okay.
Why is it important? Support network. Why?
Yeah. So a support network is totally, absolutely key. And I think as I'm going through, everyone is going to be like, everything is key here. But this is what I've seen that's raised leaders, like I said, over the years. You cannot succeed in the
Yeah.
UK, just you, yourself, your nucleus family. It is, I would really go out all out and say it's impossible to succeed. For your child to succeed, when I say succeed, not just academic success, because at some point in their lives, if your child is the only one that's excelling and you don't have a support network, they are going to be flushed out in the UK workplace, and it's going to be a lonely
Yeah.
place as a Black person at the top. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is a very lonely place. You may have looked at the news recently and seen all the things that were said of Diane Abbott, for example, and Diane Abbott is a very
Yeah.
accomplished Black lady at the top. Now,
Yeah.
just to give you an example of how support network works, a lot of private schools or even grammar schools, for example, will have alumni. Yes. If you look
Yes.
at the UK, in Oxford University, if you look at the prime ministers, only one didn't go to Oxford University. So that's where
It's
support
true.
network is important. Parents need to be in an environment, in a positive environment. So, for example, the parent network that I run through Amazing Parent Gems, we do not justify the fact that our children will get 100% in exams or they will excel. It is a given, and if that is what you want for your children, you have to support your children and put them in an environment that will allow them to flourish. Like I always say, your children are gifts sent from God. They are seeds. Yes, you are a
Yeah.
steward. You have to put them in that right garden to actually flourish. Can I just give an example, please, Patricia, of
Yeah. Sure.
a
Sure.
support network? Yes. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
went to, my son, like I said, went to the number 3 in the school in the UK. And when I was at the school, was first day, I speak to everyone. I love talking to people. I was speaking to an Asian lady, and I said to her, look, it's amazing. Our son's in the same class, well done. And she says, yeah. And she said, my son's twin, that's her twin, her child, had twin was in the other class. And I was like, how did you do that to make 2 children pass their 11 plus and
Wow.
get into a school that is 7,000 children take that exam, only 124 pass? And I'm like, you're taking up 2 spaces. I'm having a joke with her. And she said, well, also here is the entire cricket team. The entire cricket team passed, and I just nearly collapsed. And I'm like, the
Oh,
entire
wow.
cricket team got 124 spaces. And I was like, this is how, certain communities operate. They're not just about their children getting into the best. They build a support network and they bring their children together. So later on, those children will go to university together. get jobs together. And if one wants to move into another industry, he or she, well, it's a boys' school, will know that their friend is somewhere
Right.
else and they'll be able to support them. But having a support network around you and tapping into different specialism, resources, sharing ideas when you're feeling
Yeah.
down, somebody to lift you up is so key.
Right. How would you encourage a parent who's just landed here with how will they access that support? They're not aware of where to go. How would you what's my question to this? How would you motivate, or how will the parent access the support network? For instance, as you've said, like the example you've given, cricket, the Asian with the cricket. Here is a new family who've just landed from wherever they've come from. They don't have any whereabouts or how to get about daily activities. How will they access the support network? How will they be able to support their children excel throughout the academic? I know
Okay.
school will be their first point of call, but however, we all thrive when we are in our culture. How would you support such family?
Okay, great. Thanks for asking that question, Patricia. So, in terms of support network, I would say to parents is to think start off. Yes, I don't know if I would say school is the first point. Yes, school will teach your children the academics, but I always say it's 80% parents and 20% school. But it's about looking at your friendship groups, asking them, for example, do they know a tutor? I know that Revival
Mm,
House is amazing. I work with churches all over London, and I know that it's amazing in terms of the provision that it has for
yeah,
children. So tap into the music school that is there, tap into the different projects for young people that's actually there. Thinking about looking at your friends, your local, all local boroughs. I don't know what will happen after coronavirus, but all local boroughs have provision that they give for families, and some are free. So, for example, not just about being free, but most local boroughs, for example, have a music school. They will have
yeah,
maybe the Royal Academy or something put on a music school. So tap into that. With us ourselves, like I said, I run a parent network, and every single week, through for the next 7 weeks, or I think we're about 5 now, we'll actually have online sessions where I'm going at speed with the 7, but we delve into each one on a in depth for an hour, and then we have this support network. We support them through Facebook, through WhatsApp, giving daily guidance. So there are
yeah.
networks, the network
Right.
like theamazingparentgems.com, where we actually really hold people's hands, and like there are parents whose children have gone through university debt free, for example, who passed their 11 plus and so forth, who are willing and openly willing to share those ideas. So we give back, we give forward, we give sideways, all the all the different angles that we just want our children to become dynamic future leaders and not worker bees.
Oh yes, oh yes. Changing the leaders to change the world. Right. What would you tell in terms of youthfulness? I've got a 15-year-old. What would you tell a 15-year-old about youthfulness?
Okay, fab. So with in terms of a 15-year-old, I mean,
Yeah,
let me just take one angle, for example. I would say, you know, be young, enjoy yourself. Um, Definitely live life live life well. And when I say live life well, be happy. I would say to the parents, a happy parent raises a happy child. I know, so I think that's the first and foremost. In terms of again, youthfulness, I would say to a 16-year-old though, is that you there are things that you do wherever you are today, yes, is
yeah,
going to have an impact on you later on in life. So in terms of youthfulness, for example, I use social media. What are you enjoy yourself on social media for sure, and it's a channel to speak to other people and things like that, but
yeah,
certainly be careful what you put out there, but know that there are young people who are making money, who are developing their talents and developing their skills through social media, for example, so that in your youth, you don't have the responsibility of home, mortgage, rent, all of these things. You have that opportunity. So don't just sit on your phone and consume. I would say actually produce and position yourself in that, in the area of your interest. So I'll give an example. We've
Yeah.
been to your church before with Beatrice's daughters, who one's into food. She's a foodie and a photographer. So what she's actually done, she's gone out, take pictures of food, and actually started a food blog where she was invited to restaurants to eat for free and so forth. Just use your talents up, but use it in a positive and a good way, just to kind of build yourself, but enjoy yourself in the meantime. Learn an instrument. Don't just sit at home. When you surround yourselves, they say that you're the product of your six friends. Look at your six friends and you know where you're actually going. So think,
Yeah.
is it time to change
Where you
friends? Yeah. And if you are the cleverest person in your group,
it's
you need
true.
to find a new group. But find a group that will allow you to just thrive and just be your best and be excellent and achieve new things. But just don't consume, produce in every area of your life. I hope that would make sense, do you think, Patricia, to a 16-year-old?
Oh yes, peers, positive peers, to be proactive to achieve your aspirations. Thanks, Donna. My last question to you is, why is it paramount for parents to be future focused?
Okay. Yeah. So I think particularly when you're thinking about this time, if you're not future focused and you're not thinking about your 10-year plan, and you're not thinking, I have an 11-year-old who's going to be 21-year-old in 10 years time. And if you're not thinking, I don't know if you can remember what it was like 2000, we were like millennium. And now we're in
Yes,
2020. It's like, where did it all go? Right. And
tell
unless
me.
you've got a plan, a 1-year, 5-year, 10-year plan, 20-year plan, go looking forward, life, it's like having a ship, yes, going towards a goal. If you do
Yeah,
not have a destination, then your child will be swayed anywhere, you will be swayed anywhere. When there's a pandemic, you'll think it's the end of the world, but it's like, no,
it's
we
true.
still have a target. We still got through the
Yeah,
First World War, Second World War, lots of other dilemmas. But when you're future focused, you know that this is my end result. When things come and the water gets uh, you know, like stormy, and
yeah,
you hit an iceberg, it doesn't derail you, it focuses you.
yeah,
I've been to a revival house and I've spoken about financial education, and that is
yes,
absolutely totally key when we're talking about future focus. Yes, we can get our children to excel in academics, but at the end of the day, I was reading an article today in the Guardian, and it's talking about children who are struggling, can't pay their rent. Obviously their parents may be unemployed as well, and
yeah,
so that's how the impact. But we've got to think, where do we want to leave our children in that 10 years time? What do we want to actually help them to be able to thrive, to be able to have a home, to be able to have income, be able to leave university debt free? And one of the key things when I teach these 7 principles is about legacy building. It isn't, Patricia, about just you and your 16-year-old. It is about
mm,
one day your great grandchildren should say, we are here, we came as immigrants into this country, but we are here, we're established, we're impacting our land, we're impacting the UK, we're impacting our homes back home, because great grandma Patricia put this in place, and we are standing on the shoulders of uh, uh, Grandma Patricia, just like the Queen can look back to
yeah.
1066 and say, I'm here because of William. This is what we need to establish as children of God, be legacy builders and do legacy parenting to
Leaving a
raise
legacy
leaders.
behind. Leaving a legacy behind. Actually, that resonates. A movie I was watching, Self-Made Millionaire, the Black
Oh, yes.
American. Yeah, and it was great. And that shows how generations can benefit from the choices we make today and how it will impact towards the generations to come. Donna, Donia, thank you so much. Before you go, please, what is your final word before you go?
Thank you.
Give us your
So,
final word before
yeah,
you
so
go.
my
I know
final
you're
word,
rushing.
that's fine. So my final word to parents would be this. Allow yourself. There is a poem that Nelson Mandela said, I think it's written by Miriam. And if you can read it, please do read it. It's about our deepest fear. And it says, our deepest fear is that it's not that we are not great, is that we are excellent. And we ask ourselves, who am I to achieve? who's my child to achieve? Who am I to excel beyond my peers? Do not be held back. Do not hold your children back. This pandemic that we're in, when the panic is over and the pandemic is over, the prepared will thrive. So I would say do all that you can. Don't think of it as, oh, my child is home with me. Oh, this is totally stressed. No, it's your duty anyway. 80% parents, 20% school. Sit down, create a plan for your children to thrive outside of the pandemic and to thrive in the next 10 years. You'll never get this opportunity again to reflect, be intentional, and be strategic. Thank you so much, Patricia.
Thank you, Donia. And I wish you all the best, Donia.
Thank you very much.
Right, back to our views. Our next guest is a product of Donia's work. To me, here with us is Laurelle Brant. Laurelle, the stage is all yours. Please tell us who you are and what you do. And yes, moving on.
Yeah, so I'm Laurelle Brant. I'm 17 years old and I'm currently an A-level student. My A-levels have been cancelled. So we're just working as we are, we're just going ahead. As a first year cadet with 6 of us in the UK, I am currently helping with the cadet virtual learning plan, continuing with things like that, blog writing, looking at my achievements and moving forward, because obviously once this pandemic is over, we have to go somewhere. So I'm preparing for university slowly and surely, and we're getting there certainly.
Right. How did you feel when I know this came unexpectedly, where your school term was cut short and everything else had to be suspended? How did you take it?
To be honest, although it was definitely a shock and a surprise, it's one of those things you think would never ever happen in a blue moon. You're thinking exams cancelled, that can never happen. It's almost like a joke that runs all the way through your life. Thinking, what happens if I get to the end and they just like stop it? But when it actually took place, I was sitting there actually doing revision work. So I was thinking exams would still go ahead, and they said, no, it's all over. And I was thinking, oh, I always felt like my school career had almost been shut off unexpectedly. I was kind of almost looking forward to that end result of sitting the exams and going ahead and going forward. But I almost thought of it as a perfect time to work on things that I couldn't have done had the exam had to go forward. I had to stop doing things like art, put music to the side to try and make sure that my A levels were of the highest standard. And I thought, actually, we can now take this time to move ahead with things that I wanted to do. And so I almost see it as like an extended summer break nearly. But even in the break, because obviously now we have like a 21-week holiday. So we almost need to, I decided I was going to take this time to actually further the skills that I need, the skills that I already have, and as well as take extra time to prepare for the future, because my exams have been pretty much okay throughout the year. So I was thinking, I'm not that worried. Let's just take this forward and see whatever happens. We can use this to reflect, build on things. It's almost like a building block. And also we're part of a paramount moment in history. So you can almost be proud of yourself and think, wow, I'm getting through this. Let's keep going.
Right. I know you've been working with Donia through the ACE project. Please, can you tell us just a little bit of what you've done or what you do in this project, please?
So, especially up to last year, I was one of the editors for one of the youth magazines that Donia runs. I've been kind of going through the ACES project from when I was a lot younger to the moment that I did my GCSEs at the age of 8 and 9. And Donia was definitely part of the support network when I was doing my 11 plus, which helped me score 100% in the Kent exam and getting the highest in the Kent region at the age of 10, which then helped propel me to go to secondary school a year early. So the ACES project has definitely been an integral part of my life. The support network, the idea of culture, the expression of your inner self, things that you can bring together and put back into the community, the service. I always try to give back to the ACES Aspire network whenever there's a webinar, something that we can like participate in. I always aim to make sure that I can give back, because they've given so much to me. You know, they say it's lonely at the top, but it really isn't when you can reach back down and bring other people with you. So you want. So it's the idea of, as Donia said, having that support network, because it's so important that you look at the people around you and you also aim to bring them up as they brought you up as well. So obviously building a support network at the start might be difficult, but I was very young and I had loads of people trying to make me a dynamic future leader and someone who can look back and say, did I really do all this? And the answer is yes. And that's only because of the people that have been around you and helped you be the person that you are today.
Oh, great. I can see you really planned yourself throughout this process. And the other question that I would like to ask you, if you're hearing me, can you hear me, Laura?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Right. My other question is, what inspires you? What motivates you? What is your motivation?
So my biggest motivation is literally, as Donia has said, is about being future focused. I like to think about where I want to be. When I was younger, I'd always be told what I was good at, but I was thinking, what do I want to do? What do I want to be able to put back? You know, the idea of being able to be somewhere where I can help other people, to bring other people up. You know, when you see the people that are struggling, I always think to myself, although I can't do much about it now, my biggest hope, dream, want in life is to be able to be in a position where I don't even have to think about helping people out, just saying, I'm going to bring you here. I'm going to help you out, things. That's what I always think about. And it's always just, how do I get there? So even now when I was younger and I was almost planning my life, because as Donia said, a 10-year plan, you need to have that. You can't just, they say live in the moment. And yes, that's a part of youthfulness, almost just thinking about you, yourself, having all the fun you can. But you definitely need to think about the next decade, because I've been alive for over a decade. It's zoomed past. I remember when I was 7 years old. It felt like yesterday. So if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And I always set my end goal, set the thing that I want, and I just have to work to get there. Like whenever I think about like a plan, put the end point first, and then you work and you put the steps to get there, and they will definitely fall in place. I always say that if you have the end in mind, things will fall into place to help you get there. Because if that's what God's plan is for you, then nothing can stop you. You just have to go for that. But definitely my biggest inspiration, my biggest motivation is getting to that point where I can reach down, help people, support, like spread my wings, help as many people as I can. But again, the idea of having those 6 friends that are closest to you, that are smarter than you, I want to be like them. I've got quite a lot of friends that are aspiring astrophysicists, and I'm sitting here like, wow. Wow.
So it's having that person who will challenge you and expand your thoughts. And you
have to constantly be inspired and motivated, because the minute that you don't feel inspired and motivated, you can shut off just like that. So you need to keep going, because challenges will always be in the way, and you need to be able to have that tunnel vision, to just keep looking at that light and just keep working towards it. It doesn't matter what's in front of you, as long as you can get there. You can use anything in front of you as a stepping stone. That's definitely the most important thing.
Right. What would you tell the younger generations, maybe those who are sitting for the GCSE or even younger? What is your final word to them, or what is your advice to them?
Yeah, my final word is definitely that time is proportional to excellence. Everything is a marathon and not a sprint. Although people almost sell this idea that success does come overnight, it really doesn't. You have to put that time in, that 10-year plan, grinding every day, making sure you can get there, setting those goals, planning your future. You definitely need to learn from your mistakes. You have to just keep working on your grind, really. It just doesn't come overnight. It's almost when people look at you, they see all the success, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. They don't see the failures, the hurt, the pain, the sleepless nights, especially when you get higher in the academic world. It's a lot of like sacrifices that you have to make, and people don't see that. They just see, oh, you're so smart, oh, you got 100%, oh, you've done this, oh, you've done that, it looks like you're just the smartest person out there, you're good at everything. Especially even as an athlete, you can't just go straight to the track and expect to win. You have to constantly put all that time in. You have to train yourself, be disciplined, honesty, integrity, courage, self-motivation. Those are the things you definitely have to bear in mind. And if you don't have them, it's almost impossible to be at the top of your game. You need to be set apart, and time and dedication and commitment is probably one of the biggest and best things you can give out and give back. And then once you do, all the doors will be open, because once one door opens, everyone sees that you're like the best conduit for excellence and success. And then that's when everything just comes your way. But definitely put the time in, and then everything will be fine. Do what you love, because as long as you do what you love, you'll do well in
Yeah.
it.
So your keyword, preparation, is the key.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Start early.
Preparation. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Laurelle, for your
Thank you for
time. That
having
was
me.
great insight. And thank you, Donia. I know you're not here in the studio with us, but thank you so much for your time. And thank you for each and every advice you've given us. That was insightful and that was great. Right. Back to you, viewers. That was a great moment for everybody, for every one of us. And I think the most key word here that we've learned is about cultural capital. Yes, cultural capital. It gives us the power, it gives us success. Even though we don't have finances, we have others to edify us, to empower us. There's information there. There are people there like Donia who are working tirelessly to equip communities like our community to change where we are and make a difference. Remember, when you walk alone, you walk fast. But when we walk together, we get far. And with that, viewers, we come to the end of today's talk show. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your presenter, Patricia Leroy. Until next time, have a great evening.